verticalist system came about after serious contemplation, looking at the challenges facing challenges that defy solutions. Every solution that is attempted creates even more challenge. We have been through all forms of reform, but reforms generate their own problem that call for urgent solutions. So the verticalist system looked at the entire spectrum, looked at where we came from, where we are, where we are going. And the inevitable conclusion is that the situation is not sustainable. We have been through slave trade, slavery, feudalism, communalism, capitalism, globalization, socialism. All these isms haven't helped humanity at all. And if you look at them, they all have one thing in common, that they are part of what we call the horizontal system. That all these expensive, deadly human experiments called political system that we have gone through have dictated that for man to grow, he has to enslave fellow man. He has to step on the feet of another man in order to grow. The reason why we had imperialism and colonialism is because of horizontal expansion. Exploitation always starts internally. And after it reaches an optimum level of exploitation, it always seeks avenues of horizontal expansion externally. That's why Britain acquired colonies in Australia, New Zealand, in the Americas, in India, in Africa, many other parts of the world. The reason it went for colony is because of the horizontal expansion system. France did the same, Portugal did the same, Spain did the same, America had its own wild west. Russia did the same, both Eastern Europe and parts of Asia. Whether under communism, whether under capitalism, whether under feudalism, whether under socialism, the experience that humanity has gone through is the experience of horizontal expansion of some at the expense of others. Before the Industrial Revolution, circumstances were such that slavery was the core means of production. When the Industrial Revolution set in, it came with its own very special challenges, that the master needed their slaves to be schooled, be trained, in order for them to meet the demands of industrial production, demands of the Industrial Revolution. So the claim for the abolition of slave trade and slavery, it was not out of humanity, it was not out of humane feelings, it was not out of empathy, it was out of economic dictates. That the Industrial Revolution itself demanded markets, it demanded informed and schooled labor force. And in a plantation environment, it was not possible to provide the kind of schooling that the Industrial Revolution needed. And therefore, it became inevitable to abolish slavery so that the slaves could now take care of themselves, seek schooling, and then come back to work. When you look at it from the point of view of the enslaved, the status changes from the slave to an employee. But in reality, it is still exploitation. It is still slavery. As a slave on a plantation, as a domestic slave, your master has to feed, has to house you, has to clothe you. But now, the Industrial Revolution is such that these people are released into the world so that fend for themselves, take care of their own shelter, take care of their own food, but now they'll be given something called a salary. So nothing has changed. It is the same horizontal system. Horizontal system has certain essential elements. First essential element of a horizontal system is a land market. The second essential element of the horizontal system is labor market. The third element of the horizontal system is the premium it places on schooling. Three essential elements of the horizontal system. Fourth one is capital, which is accumulated as the difference between what the slave produces and the wage that is given to the slave as a reward for his production. Remove those essentials, what happens? The horizontal system will collapse. What comes into place when the horizontal system collapses because the land market has been abolished? The labor market has been abolished. The premium on schooling has been abolished. Capital is now available to all. What happens is that there is now an opportunity for freedom. freedom under what we call the verticalist system. So the verticalist system, in a nutshell, is a system that has done away with the land market. It has done away with the labor market. It has done away with the premium on schooling. It has ensured education for all. It has ensured capital for all. That is the difference between the horizontal system and the vertical system. The vertical system demands that education comes first. So once one has an education, one can then pursue a schooling which avails technological tools for one to perform that we love doing. The vertical system also has a very essential element in governance, which is direct democracy. It is totally senseless for one to claim that there can ever be representative democracy without a foundation of direct democracy. Because the first thing is to guarantee the sovereignty of the individual. Once that sovereignty is guaranteed, then representative democracy makes sense. Because there must be an area, there must be some ground where I govern myself before I can surrender part of that sovereignty to someone I would call a representative. So that's a very important aspect of the vertical system. And to build on that, then the representation comes at a level. But development has to happen at a level at which I represent myself. The role of the representative is to convey my interest to the rest of the world so that the means of production that is availed to me is not disrupted. That is the sense of representation, and which can only be democratic if it is built on direct democracy. Because direct democracy, then you can bring in another element, the element of constant democracy, where democracy is constant without having to wait for 4 years. But the very basis of the vertical system is psychological liberation. Without psychological liberation, it cannot work. Because we are where we are in this horizontal system, because we took a wrong turn because we did not have the psychological liberation. As we said, ignorance and fear will breed psychological slavery. In the early days, when man was ignorant, the example we gave, when it fails to rain on his side of the hill, he will believe that is witchcraft. He will believe someone else is smarter than him. That's why it has rained on his side of the hill and failed to rain on the leeway side of it. But with psychological liberation, one is able to see the complete picture. Perspectives disappear. Perspectives are consumed by the complete picture because one is then psychological liberation and is able to see the complete picture. Verticalism, the vertical system, is a product of psychological liberation. It's a product of the ability to see the complete picture. A very, very essential element of verticalism is visibility, which would solve many of the problems that confront humanity within the horizontal system. What does visibility mean? It means that every action, every activity of a public nature, every activity in a society, every activity that affects anyone else other than yourself is visible. Everyone can see it. And therefore, under visibility, currency abolition would be there because corruption thrives because there is a currency, because there is the dollar, because there is the euro, because there is the sterling pound, because there is the peso. That if a new system of credits and debits, of value transfers is in place, a system that is fully transparent, corruption will be a thing of the past. And that's why visibility is a concomitant element within the verticalist system. And in the verticalist system, we have service to humanity. As we saw before, we said that charity can have no place in the vertical system. Charity can have no place in a system that guarantees freedom, in a system that avails freedom to every human being. Charity will have no place. And therefore, every human being renders service to humanity for an agreed period in exchange for schooling. Under the vertical system, we say that schooling starts at age 16 and it continues for 20 years. And that is free schooling in exchange for service to humanity. If I want to be a doctor and I'm working in a medical environment, I'm working in a hospital, I'm rendering service to humanity. In exchange for that service, I'm doing apprenticeship. In exchange for that service, I'm learning the 3 R's. I'm able to learn how to read and write and respond to nature. That is what service to humanity is. Now, when we talk about abolition of the land market, when we talk about abolition of the labor market, when we talk about abolition of the premium on schooling, we are saying that people will relate. In that atmosphere, one is schooling is very important, very, very important, because it will enable him to do what they love doing at different levels. But because there is the guarantee of freedom, the return on investment of labor is the same, is equal for everybody. And also the return on investment of land is equal for everybody. We talked about everyone being able to pay their way through life. That can only be possible where there is freedom. One of the rights that is God given is a place to stand, a place to call home. That's a God given right. You cannot be in this world unless that is guaranteed. The other one is the right to the integrity of my labor. The integrity of my labor cannot be guaranteed if it is something that can be sold at a marketplace. The integrity is preserved if I'm able to relate to other people in an atmosphere of freedom, where we agree with the brothers and sisters, can we come together to carry out this enterprise? And we ask Steve, what role are you able to play? And he says, I'm able to play this particular role. I can man the production line. We'll obey the manager, the one who is managing us. We'll let the manager also respect the one who is cleaning. But the returns we get, all of us have equal access to those returns. Only then can everyone be able to pay their way through life. Otherwise, it would be a slogan. It would be a platitude that has no meaning. To give it meaning, there has to be the guarantee of freedom. And where there is visibility, because the values that are generated within that enterprise, they're open for everybody. Anyone can see that these are the values. And how each one of us is accessing those values, it's also open. It's also visible to everybody.